he started banging on the window. The glass smashed, and I just remember him leaning in and shooting her. I think most people who knew her would agree that my mum was incredibly bubbly and well known in Newport really for just being a nice person. Yeah, she was always helping people out. She would always put others before herself, and she found it really, really hard to say no to somebody if they ever asked of her. I was really excited when we first met Jack. I knew he was a farmer. I was really excited to be in the countryside. He was very charming, which is, such a common thing heard about people like him. I just thought he was going to be sort of everything we've been missing, really, and I really wanted a more present father figure in my life. His behaviour became increasingly concerning not that long after they met, just in terms of there were arguments and just periods of time where I felt quite threatening. We became increasingly concerned about how he would react about things. Mum stopped going out. She just found it more difficult to do the things that she wanted to do because she was concerned about the mood that he would be in. A lot of the time it was always what he wanted to do, and my mum didn't drink, so when he wanted to get drunk, she always had to look after him, and quite often he would take it way too far when he would drink. So it was the start of December 2017, not long before the murder happened. And he had been out shooting and he'd come home really drunk. He grabbed the television, wrenched it out the wall and smashed it on the floor. I'd heard the bang, but kind of assumed that potentially it may have been him just falling around drunk. I texted my mum and asked her if she was okay and what was going on, and she just told me to stay in my room. And that worried me because usually she would have said, oh, he's just knocked into this or something. But for her to say, don't leave your room, was quite worrying. I could hear him in the gun cabinet, and he'd got one of his guns out and he was breaking the barrels and putting them back together, sort of imitating loading the gun. He flung open their bedroom door and essentially announced that he was divorcing her. Once he had gone, I'd gone to see her and she was absolutely white as a sheet, and I've never seen anyone shake like it. And all she could say was, I thought he was going to kill me. Mum did speak to the police, although she did play down a lot of his abuse because she was concerned about him losing his guns. That it was decided that he needed to have them taken away at that point. He was that intent on killing Mum that he managed to source himself an antique shotgun that he'd found somewhere on the farm. So the night that my mum was killed, we had gone out. My mum had dropped me off at her friend's house. A couple of hours in or so, I got some text from Mum to say that he'd turned up at the pub that she was at, and she was concerned that he'd put a tracker on her car. I immediately said that we needed to call the police because we'd already been logging his behaviour. I was really concerned for our safety at this point. And she said to me that he wouldn't hurt us. I said to her, I wouldn't put it past him. I think he could. And that was the first time I'd really sort of voiced that to Mum in such a way that I'd actually felt it at that point. It wasn't just, oh, could he? I really was concerned that he would hurt us. Pulled up onto the driveway and Mum just froze and said, oh my God, he's here. He started banging on the window. It looked almost as if he had some sort of like shovel or scaffolding pole. I knew he had a long metal object, but I didn't think that it could be a gun as he'd had them taken away. The glass smashed, and I just remember him leaning in and shooting her. He started walking back to his car and I went after him and I grabbed him and I was like, why? What have you, just tell me why. I heard the engine start up and I thought somewhere in the back of my head, if I don't move, he's not going to stop for me. So I went back to the car, I opened the door and I started trying to see if I could get a response from my mum. I could see a little bit of blood and there was an injury to her right arm. I know that you don't get shot from sort of that range and survive it. Somewhere in the back of my mind, I managed to pull myself away from that and prevent myself from seeing those injuries. I think it affects everything that I do daily, and the way that I live my life now and how I always have since I lost Mum has been built on top of that. Losing a parent is just it's indescribable what it does to you, especially at such a young age, and especially my mum being sort of my only real parent. I'm very lucky that she instilled some really good values in me, and I carry everything that she taught me with me every single day. For a long time, I said that I parented myself in the way that she would parent me, and essentially I just held myself to the same values and morals that she would have expected from me. My thinking has always been that if I can help one person, then essentially my mum didn't die for nothing. The person that she was, she would always do everything she could for other people. So I just really wanted to be able to live her legacy and give her story to everybody else as an opportunity to help people. And I knew that if I didn't do something to try and help other people, she'd be turning in her grave for not using it as an opportunity to do something good. Anyone who is being isolated from their family and friends, anyone who's going out and thinking, oh, I hope they're not in a bad mood when I come home, anyone trying to control finances, your phone, just freedoms, strong opinions on friends, family, anyone trying to separate you from the things that you know and love is not okay. Obviously, anyone that's physically aggressive, verbally aggressive, there are so many warning signs that so many people could be thinking, oh gosh, that's happening in my relationship, but don't ignore the warning signs because you could end up in a real bad situation. I would say to someone who is in that situation that you can get out, and don't be afraid to get out and speak out. And that if you have been in that situation and you're now sort of trying to rebuild your life, that actually no matter what happens and what the event was and how bad it was, you can still have a really good life afterwards, because so many people come out of it thinking that they've got nothing left, and you can rebuild and you can find yourself. I've managed to keep going since I lost mum, and obviously with the campaigning work that I do and all those kind of things, I've just managed to build myself a really good life so far. I'm obviously still only 20, but over the last few years I've accomplished some really big things, and even down to my home life, like it's really easy to put on that sort of brave campaigner face and push the agenda, but even sort of on the inside, yeah, I've had my ups and downs and moments, but everything is still okay. I'm still surviving, and I'm actually living a really good life, and I'm very, very grateful that I'm able to do that.